Okay. Hey guys, we are here behind the scene, episode 4 of our first date conversations. The scene. I hope y'all are doing well. I'm gonna go ahead and share this to y'all so y'all can see. Um, if you are not following us, make sure that you are following us on our YouTube channel at Love and Law Podcast. We are here on Fridays at 9 o'clock, behind the scenes first date conversations and Love and Law Podcast. Um, we tape our regular episodes on Thursdays at 7 o'clock. So if you're not following us, make sure you're following us and subscribing to our channel. Make sure you find that little bell that's by Love and Law Podcast page. Click on that little bell. It'll let you know that we are going live when we go live. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you all tuning in and your love and support throughout this whole journey. So, with that, tonight I'm going to introduce our wonderful guest. I'm so appreciative of them coming on here, sharing their Friday nights and all the tidbits that they're going to gems that they're going to drop on us tonight. And so, without further ado, we have our lovely lady of the hour, LaKeisha Randall of Randall Law Firm in the beautiful Atlanta, right?
Correct.
And so I will give you a few minutes to just tell them where they can find you, a little bit about yourself, and then we go to our next guest.
Sure. Thank you for having me. My name is LaKeisha Randall. I am an attorney and a wellness consultant. I'm also a life coach, and I own Atlanta Life Coaching and Consulting. In Atlanta, I own the Randall Firm. We specialize in personal injury, family law, and estate planning. On Instagram, I am lrandall.law. So that's LRANDALL.law. Everything else is the Randall Firm. So yeah, happy to be here. I serve all of Georgia and Washington, D.C. So I'm licensed in both places. DC is my home away from home, so I had to make sure I'm able to be connected in the DMV.
Awesome. Well, we thank you for being here. And our another lovely guest is Inyatu Marvel, otherwise AKA The Hitch. And I will let him tell a little bit about himself and where you can find him.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Sasha. I'm so excited to be on the Love and Law podcast. So I'm Inyatu Marvel. I am the real life Hitch. If you've ever seen the movie with Will Smith, everyone that knows me would tell you that he's playing me in that movie. I am a dating and relationship consultant. I'm also a certified Maxwell Method life coach, as well as a certified couples counselor and facilitator of a couples assessment tool that helps people dig through the rigmarole of seeing if they're compatible, right? By digging out a bunch of information right from the early start. And so with that being said, I love to help people transform themselves into magnets to attract their person. So everyone is a magnet. Some of us are attracting to things and people we don't want, right? And right. Others of us are doing the latter. So I want to help you be the latter. And so with that being said, I'll pass you back to Sasha. Oh, wait a minute. You can find me on Instagram Inyatu Marvelous Hits, just like it's on the screen, no spaces. That's my government name. On Facebook, my government name is Inyatu Marvel. And I don't use any of the other social media. Clubhouse, I'm Inyatu Marvelous Hitch as well. And my website is thehitchagency.com. You can tell I've been on vacation for a couple of weeks because I don't know where you can find me.
Right, I know. But all right, thank you guys. All right, so you guys know the drill. I am going to get backstage and allow these beautiful people to have their conversation. They're going to be talking for about 10 minutes and maybe a little bit more, depending on how flavorful I'll let them decide. And then I'll come back on and then we'll talk a little bit more about the conversation. They'll give their individual feedbacks to each other and then we'll talk about it generally. All right? Okay, I'll see you guys in a few.
Yeah.
So, hey, Keisha, I'm so glad we met and exchanged numbers. Happy Friday. How are you?
Happy Friday. I'm having an awesome day. How about you?
Marvelous. So listen, I want to ask you some questions. I'm excited to get to know you. Is that okay?
It is. I'm looking forward to it. Let's go.
Awesome. So first thing I'd like to know is, are you happy? Do you experience joy in your everyday life? And if so, what type of things bring you joy in your everyday life?
You don't feel my energy? You don't feel my happiness radiating already?
I do, but I just want to find out more about it.
Sure. So, yes, I'm happy. Okay, I'll back out. I have a mantra where I say life is not a dress rehearsal. What I mean by that is, as far as I know, this is our only shot. So you may as well enjoy it, have fun, and be intentional about life. So I'm very happy and content right now.
Awesome. That resonates with me.
How about you?
Absolutely. I am excited about life. I am constantly finding ways to improve, and I'm constantly learning. And that's one of the things that I love to do. I love people. I love where I am in my life, and I have some really great people around me. And so, yeah, I'm working to improve things, but I would be so ungrateful if I began to complain, because life is more than good. It's great.
So let me ask you this. You said you're loving life right now. What are you loving about it currently?
One of the things I enjoy a lot is my freedom. And
Okay.
so I work for myself, and my son is 18 going on 19, so he doesn't require as much supervision from me as he used to. And so 2 weeks ago, a company contacted me on a Friday and asked me if they could fly me to Mexico on Sunday to meet with them, but also play for a week and just meet with them for a couple of days. I didn't have to ask anybody for permission. I didn't have to check my bank account. I just said yes, packed my bags, grabbed my passport, and got out of here.
Nice.
When I came back, I was blessed to attend my younger sister and her daughter, my niece, graduate from the University of Illinois at the same time. My sister got her master's degree. My niece is 22. She got her bachelor's degree in journalism. And because of the pandemic, they were allowed to walk across the stage together. And my nephew was actually allowed to put my sister's master's degree collar on her. And so that was a very exciting experience, and a family, a very loving situation. And then I came right back and flew to LA for a week, and I had a great time out there. So that type of freedom brings me great joy. I want to be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want, for as long as I want, with whoever I want. And I think I'm very close to that place.
Very, very interesting. Okay.
Awesome. So tell me, do you love what you do?
I love what I do some days.
Okay, that's fair.
So I'm a trial lawyer, and I love that.
Okay.
I'm a trial lawyer, and I love that. So I'd say that I imagine, at least, being in court and the adrenaline I feel was it's like contact playing football.
Okay.
Like, it is awesome. The adrenaline is natural. I'm in my zone. I love the camaraderie of it. I love the opportunity to, adapt as you may. I like the poetry of things and navigating and orchestrating all the different players. So that part I do love. But with COVID, we're having to adapt to a lot of different changes in the industry. So, we're not having jury trials, which is the fun part for me. But I'm also really dope and really awesome with my clients. My clients know I actually care, and not like in the cheesy way. Like, I really do care about you. And that part is fun because I do injury and family law. All of my clients come to me when they need me in the most critical times, whether you're recovering from an injury, dealing with the emotional trauma of divorce or considering a divorce. You have to have a lot of hand holding and compassion. And you also need like really high emotional IQ to help them navigate that. So the life coaching she mentioned earlier really helps me understand my clients and their goals, even when they can't put voice to things. So that part I really enjoy too.
Okay, that is awesome. Thank you for being so thorough in sharing. I appreciate you being so forthcoming. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you one more question about that.
Sure.
When did you first know that you wanted to be a lawyer?
Honestly, my story is not traditional at all.
Okay, I like out of the box. So
My story is not traditional. So I have always enjoyed writing,
okay.
and most of my life I thought I was going to be a journalist. So, I wrote poetry as a kid. I even wrote my first book at 14.
Wow.
I was like high school editor of the newspaper. So that was my track, right?
Okay.
And then in college, I was considering an internship. And this newspaper was like my premier job at the time. And the first year's salary was like $23,000. And I was like, so I enjoy writing, but do I love it enough to starve? And the answer is no. So this is like sophomore year, and I'm like, okay, what else can I do where I can get paid to write professionally and survive and have the quality of life that I want and be able to, mobilize a generation. So I'm very strategic, So I started looking at my options. Okay, professor, or maybe law school, or maybe get an MBA. All these different things. And then at some point, it came down to getting a JD. Not because I want to be a lawyer, but because the JD is one of the most diverse degrees, if not the most degree in the country. Because you can go into government. More CEOs have JDs and MBAs. People don't know that. So I made that calculated decision to go get a JD, right?
Right.
And then maybe my second year of law school, when we took like the practical courses about, trial practice, I realized, oh, I actually love this. It actually feels kind of natural.
Okay.
So I didn't decide to be a lawyer in the traditional sense until my second year of law school.
Okay.
So my story is not like all my life I watch Matlock.
Right. No, it sounds like a very planned and calculated move, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
I appreciate a person reassessing, right? Because sometimes we come up with a plan, and no matter what happens, we try to stick to it. And I find that, life is fluid. The world is ever changing. It never stops moving. So I appreciate a person with the ability and the bravery to reassess, because reassessing doesn't mean you're going to change things. It just means you're reassessing whether or not it's the best thing for you. And if you still find that it is, great. But if you don't, you can save yourself, from wasting a lot of time and maybe even a lot of unnecessary headaches. So I appreciate that part of you.
So let me ask you this. You mentioned freedom and autonomy quite a bit.
Yes.
Is that a new revelation for this chapter of your life?
No, I have always enjoyed freedom. I have always desired freedom. Even as a kid, I wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted to do, which was a motivation to get great grades, right? So that I would hear yes a lot, right? So my father and my mom mentioned to me that, usually performance enhances your chances of getting things to go your way, or getting the things that you want. And so I took that to heart, and I've been.
Where were you raised?
In Chicago.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Are you familiar with Chicago?
I am. And the funny thing is, I'm legitimately flying there next month because I really have been craving Garrett's popcorn.
Wow. So that is so funny. I send like 10 different people Garrett's popcorn once a year, because I know how addicted it is. I try not to eat it because it's so addictive.
What I hear you saying is you're going to mail me some popcorn.
Yes, I would definitely send you a tin of. You like Chicago style?
I do.
Yes, it is
so. I like the Garrett's mix. So we only had one location here in Atlanta, and it closed for COVID. But for a while, it said temporarily closed, and you would go there, and the signage was still there, which gave you the impression that it's going to come back soon.
Right.
But it hasn't come back.
Oh, that is terrible. That is terrible.
So I love Chicago for that. And my favorite breakfast place is in Chicago.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Was the weather okay when you came to visit? Because that makes a difference.
I've been many times. A world of difference. I usually go in the summer.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I can remember a time where Atlanta was like a second home for me. I've only been to DC twice, but
Okay.
Atlanta, I went to college in Nashville, Tennessee, at Tennessee State University. It's
Nice.
HBCU, right? And my older brother was at Clark, Atlanta.
Did
And
you
so,
say that's an HBCU? Like I wouldn't know.
well, you never know. You never know. It looks like we're being rejoined.
We are.
Hey, Sasha.
Welcome back.
Okay, it'll help if I unmute my mic, right?
Right.
So that was so amazing. I mean, I was trying to find that window, but there really was no window because the conversation was so fluid. I was like, oh, yes, great. Popcorn, yes, I love it. I love it. Okay. So I will allow you guys though to give each other some feedback on your conversation. And so we'll start always with ladies first. So LaKeisha, tell us what your thoughts were on Nyatu's perspective of our approach to the conversation from a first date mindset.
And don't be gentle.
Don't be gentle. You want my worst? Just play. I think he had great energy. I'm very big on aura and energy, and I believe that that's palpable in any setting, right? So he had a great energy, the smile, good body language, of course. That's always helpful too. I think he made people feel natural. I'm an extrovert, as you know, but I think I imagine at least I was introverted. I still would have felt comfortable talking to him.
Okay.
I think I'm not wired this way, but I think if a woman was really big on like being super traditional and like getting married tomorrow, she may put on her track shoes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so I'll ask you, Nyatu, what did you think of the conversation with LaKeisha?
I enjoyed it very much. She was very open, and to me, that is very important in connecting with someone and in conversation. So sometimes you come across people and they say they want to get to know you, but they're very closed off. And so she wasn't giving me one-word answers or anything. Clearly, she was walking in her purpose, and it was just very organic. It was very natural. When you popped back on, I had to look at the time, like 10 minutes. I thought it was only 2.
Right. Oh, that's so awesome. That is so awesome. And I genuinely felt that, like I love LaKeisha's like that feminine aura that she just kind of threw at us, right? Put that out there, and how did you receive that? How did that make you feel? Like with that feminine energy.
Right. So that I do this professionally, right? And so I give talks. And so maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I did a podcast on green flags for men, right? Which they won't be the same for everybody. But as a man, I was given a list. Number 1 on my list is feminine energy. I love softness. I love, how she's coy when she smiles and she laughs. So I was, not only did I notice it, but I'm tremendously appreciative of it, and I find it, very attractive.
Awesome. Yes. And I love that when you kind of like took the lead in Nyatu and just kind of like brought her in, allowing her to feel safe. Like, LaKeisha, how did that make you feel when he just kind of like roped you in, like, okay, all right, it's okay to be yourself? I felt like at the beginning you were a little bit held back just a tad, and then but the more he just kind of like allowed for that safe space, you just kind of like roped in, and then like I saw the hand on the energy just kind of like lift off the screen. Like, how did that safety feeling made you feel?
So I don't think I felt nervous at first at all, because I believe he has good energy, and I think that's palpable, right?
Right.
But I do believe in leadership, and I think that's a natural order of things. So I personally believe when things are too imbalanced at the outset, it really sets the tone going forward, whether you know it or not. So, why not? Let's see where it's going to go.
Love it. I love it. All right. Okay. So, stepping outside of the conversation that you both have, what are some takeaways that you would say? Because I know you're both extremely experienced as far as the interracial inter-exchange of conversation. Interrelation is the word that I'm looking for. Lord, help me. Interrelation of individuals, right? You're both very experienced in that space. What advice would you have for our audience in going on first dates? We'll start with ladies first.
So I think some women overthink it, I mean, you're just meeting a new person. Like, don't go in with this like odd checklist of like, can I marry this guy? You just go in and say, nice to meet you. Do I like you? Do I want to continue getting to know you? Can I see myself in an enclosed space with you? That's what I say. Take it piece by piece. And just trust your feminine energy, trust your third eye, trust your spirit woman, your gut, your instinct, whatever you want to call it. I think sometimes we overthink things and the brain really ruins the experience. If you just go in it like, I want to get to know this person, or I'm just curious about this person. I mean, worst case scenario, you can meet a friend or a colleague or someone else. I mean, everyone doesn't cross your path for marriage. My goodness.
I love that. I love that advice. And Yatu?
So yeah, the Atlanta coach is really good because she took my first point, right? She read my mind. I think it's very important to ask questions that are about getting to know the person and not just seeing if they check off all your boxes, right? Men can sense that, even if it's unconsciously, and it just doesn't always feel so great. So I think that is important. I think take your time, don't be in a rush. Don't turn it into an interrogation by drilling question after question after question. Let the conversation evolve, which I think we both did naturally. When someone asks you a question, try to give them a really full answer, not, again, just a short, the minimum answer. I think it makes the other person feel like you're not really interested in allowing them to get to know you. And so the art of conversation, it is really an art, and it can be really fun, but you do have to be intentional, and the only intent can't be to see if they're your future wife or future husband as quickly as you possibly can. That's not genuine, and it's not even an effective strategy.
Awesome. And so my other question to both of you is, what are the do not mentions on a first date? Like, you're going on a first date, do not bring these topics up.
Probably sex.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes the energy is such that that's okay, but especially if you're a man, don't do it. If she starts talking about it, then maybe. But even that, it might be a test. It might be a trap. So ask her if she wants to save that conversation for the next time.
LaKeisha, what are your thoughts?
I honestly don't think I have any rules for what not to do. I think it's a case-by-case scenario. I think you fill it out and use your judgment. Yeah, I don't think I believe in those kind of rules, honestly.
So let me ask this, right? Since I have both experts on the show tonight, what about this idea of just being yourself and putting it all out there? The first day, you just like laying it all on the table. Is there a possibility that you would cause someone, because there's the intent and the perception, right? Can you give too much information that will cause someone who's just getting to know you to give them a misperception of who you are?
So I'll chime in if you don't mind.
I don't.
I don't think it's what you do. I think it's how you do it.
Okay.
And so there's a phrase, a concept in marketing and sales, and it's called throwing up all over the customer, right?
Okay.
And so it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. It's like you work for AT&T and you're like, yeah, you can get the iPhone for this, and you can get the this for that, and you can get the Android, and yes, we have chargers, and and it's like, it's all coming at them at once. It's too much, and it's vomiting on the person. And so I definitely don't think that is what you should do. Is to try to just hurry up and vomit it all on the table,
Right.
and leave them to have to try to manage and deal with all of that. But sometimes first conversations go really well and last for an hour, hours, 2 or more. Where there is an opportunity to slowly unpack, lots of things. And so, again, even though I advise men, because I've heard so many women complain about men going straight to sex, I advise men not to bring that up in the first conversation. I also said, unless, right, because I understand that sometimes organically conversations just go in a certain way, and it's not because someone's trying to have sex tonight, per se. That just might be naturally where the conversation leads, and if it's flowing, don't let it flow. Don't stop.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I love
So we had a question from the audience. What about conversations about ex-relationships?
Keisha, would you like to take that? Or
so it depends, and it depends on the context and why it's relevant. So for me, sometimes you'll get into like, do you have children? And if a guy has a kid that's super young, then I may ask about the co-parenting relationship with the partner, because that's important for me to know if I want to continue with that situation or not. Because that's one of my deal breakers. Like, I'm really big on harmony and positivity and energy. And if your child I have a real example. I went on the first date with the guy and I was like, oh, I saw that you had a car seat. Y'all, the kid was like a couple months old. So I don't care what you're telling me. You're not done with that. Handle that. This is the last time you're going to see me. So I think if it's relevant to the conversation and what you're trying to find out, then sure. Otherwise, it seems odd and unnecessary and unnatural, But if you're on a date with me and she's coming to mine, then maybe you should go there.
So I agree with the latter part. I agree with what she said, that that's an orange or yellow flag for me, or definitely a lack of a green flag if a person is talking about their ex a lot, or anything past a sentence or two. I think it's great to take away what you learn from past relationships, and I don't mind people talking about that, but I don't want to hear a lot about a person's ex. That makes me think that, they're still,
there.
makes me know that there's still, something there, even if they'll never be together again. There's some unresolved healing or issue there. So, yeah, I agree totally about that.
So I have another question for y'all before we wrap up. And in thinking of goals and objectives, right? Because if we're dating on purpose, we're going on a date with goals and objective, right? What would you say would be the goal? Like, what should we be taking away from that first date?
Well, I think that it should be about collecting data. So you're learning about the other person, one, and then two, you're learning about yourself. So I think a person should take note of how the conversation or the interaction made them feel. You get off the phone, or you get in your car by yourself. Take 60 seconds or 2 minutes to just, assess how it made you feel on the inside, because intuition is very strong. It's very powerful. It's connected to God and the universe, and it can reveal many things to you. But a lot of times we pay attention to what we think but we don't
Right.
always pay attention to how we feel on a spiritual level. And so, you know, collecting data about yourself is the part that so many people miss. You know, some people you interact with them and it'll have you in your feelings. Some people you interact with them and it'll have you feeling yourself, and the whole gamut in between. And so I think people should pay attention to that before you get on the phone or arrive at the date. Take 2 minutes and assess how you feel, and then after, take 2 minutes to assess how you feel and compare. Did this enhance how you feel, or did it reduce how you feel?
That's good. That's really good. Okay, LaKeisha.
So, Yata, you got me back because that was exactly what I was going to say. I agree 100%. And I guess to add on to that, that is how I actually feel about that question. But I also feel like, you know, does this person bolster my natural aura? You know? So, for example, I'm a lawyer, but because there's so many preconceived notions about what a lawyer is, or you like to argue, or some kind of weird thing sometimes, I prefer to say that I'm a life coach first, because most people don't know what that is. And if you do, you paint a lighter picture and you create a space to really have that conversation, you know? So I like when I go on a date with someone and I feel my natural and most authentic self, which is LaKeisha, a Christian, a woman, a Black woman, a yogi, you know, the things that I identify with naturally. If I feel centered with this person, or if those things feel heightened, or if I feel safe to be that and all those things, then that's always a great sign. So I would say, you know who you are, obviously. And if you don't, start there, and that's okay. And then, you know, see if it feels natural to you, or if it kind of makes you want to shrill away, then don't force it.
Okay. All right. I love it. Like this whole, I mean, I hope you guys are taking notes, because there's a lot of gems dropping tonight. Okay. So we're wrapping up. Any last takeaways, LaKeisha?
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. And yeah, I enjoyed it. This was awesome. Good partnership.
Yes. I thank you for being here. I so appreciate you. And Yatu, any last takeaways?
Yes. Ultimately, the litmus test for me for a new romantic connection is it should, for both parties, even if it's on a minute level, it should enhance you, advance you, and romance you. Right? This is my three-prong. If you're not getting anything from this conversation, interaction, that makes you feel enhanced or feel like you could be enhanced in the future and or advanced, then, you know, there's a green flag missing. And then there should be an element of romance. And I don't mean sex, right? I mean romance. There should be some of that element there. And so, you know, Keisha has great body language. She knows how to move her shoulders when she smiles. She knows how to place her hand right in the right place. And that is so key. You know, 60% of communication is body language. Another 30% is tone. So 90% of what you're communicating is not coming out of your mouth. And so I think people need to be really self-aware about that as well. You know, some people get in conversations, they have their arms folded. Well, people who understand body language know that you're protecting yourself, you're closing yourself off. And so these are things that people have to, this is the data you have to collect on yourself.
Right.
And so,
that's awesome. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. And also just thank you so much for having me. Thank you for pairing me with Keisha. That made this so easy, right? And so enjoyable. And I just look forward to the next time, because I'm sure it's not over, right, Sasha Sauce?
No, it's not. It is surely not, because this was awesome. And I think, you know, because some of us are good on first dates, some of us aren't, you know, and I think hearing from people who kind of know how to navigate that space is so helpful. And I mean, ladies, like that takeaway, like Keisha, you do an amazing job. I mean, girl, I always tell you that all the time, but I'm gonna tell you this on
how she pulled her head just now.
Listen, she gets that feminine energy off of that thing, like, you know, and it's not as natural in our space as lawyers, you know. So for her to bring it out and just, she always does that. It's always been so like amazing for me. Like, girl, like, yes, I love it, you know. Yeah, girl, I be telling you, she does.
I fully receive that positive.
And that is really important as we wrap up, you know, something that you mentioned, Nyato, and everybody love enhanced advanced romance. They love it.
That was awesome.
You know, it is, you know, as you mentioned, like that body language and something that you guys mentioned about feeling it, making it feel natural, you know, having that emotional connection, making sure that they feel it, they feel safe and it's organic. So I love it. And so, guys, we will see you guys next week, Friday, for episode 5. And you know, I'm gonna have the contact information for both Keisha and her life coaching contacts, and Nyatu and his matchmaking and relationship counseling contact information in the bio on our YouTube channel, and so that you guys could click on it and make sure you're following them. If you're not, making sure that you reach out to them to solicit their services and to engage them, because they come with a wealth of information. And so we are so grateful that they decide to come on here and share that wealth with us. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. If you're not following Love and Law Podcast, make sure you're following us. That little bell that's on top on our page, make sure you click on that little bell so that you are alerted every time that we go live. All right. See you guys next week.
Good night, everyone.
See ya.